The story begins by showing a mysterious world located thousands of kilometers below the surface of the Earth. From the sky to the depths of the water, inhabited by dangerous giant creatures. One of them is named King Kong, who is the protector of the world. Now Kong walks to the edge of the lake with a small monkey who intends to trap Kong Gong. Because the little monkey realizes there is something terrible hiding under the lake. Mama. The little monkey deliberately enters the water. Uku, Chaprakan to provoke Kong. Without saying Assalamu alaikum, Kong enters the lake. Starts bathing exotically. Meanwhile, the little monkey drinks water to prevent this clever trick from being discovered. Suddenly, a mysterious creature rushes towards them. When Kong starts to turn around, a giant dragon opens its mouth as wide as possible and immediately swallows him. Seeing this, the little monkey immediately runs helter-skelter away from the lake because he realizes his plan has succeeded. Indeed, monkeys. Oh, a fierce battle between two giant creatures of different species occurs. The dragon dances Kong using its tail into the lake and does not know Ma. In his Tigang Baoror mode, Kong is very dangerous. The little monkey is sure he will not meet Kong again. But suddenly, Kong's weapon shoots right in front of the little monkey and the dragon's head is dropped in front of him. Yeah. The little monkey thought, wow, I'm finished being beaten by the Buto. However, Kong did nothing but take his axe. Instead, he ordered the little monkey to move forward as a guide. The little monkey did not realize that Kong was looking for creatures of his kind. Because loneliness in this world was very torturous for him, Kong always hunted to fill his stomach alone. Sometimes he was even the one who became the prey of dangerous wolves. Kong continued to run while showing off his big butt to us. Najis then jumped to avoid them, but the wolves still followed him until they managed to trap Kong on the edge of a very deep ravine. As a result, Kong was forced to turn around, beating his breast, preparing to fight. Far away. The wolves thought this time the hunt would be easy, but they did not know that Kong had set a trap there. As soon as a wolf jumped, he was trapped, falling into a pit trap filled with sharp wooden spears. Kong immediately lifted a tree trunk tied with vines, threw it into the hole to activate the trap, until the rocks began to roll down, trapping the wolves who tried to escape. Some of them managed to survive and continued to hunt him, making Kong furious. He took the corpse of a wolf, tearing its body in two parts forcefully while roaring. Caused the remaining wolves to scatter and flee in fear. However, there was no joy in Kong after getting his prey, because his fangs, which were used to tear the meat, were parting weight. This Butto was even more annoyed, because a lizard hiding behind was taking the meat. Kong tried to stop him, but he was distracted by the sound of a similar creature from a distance. Kong immediately went to the source of the sound. But when he got there, Kong only saw a round frog that imitated his voice. It seemed that from now on, Kong had to accept the bitter fact that he was alone in this world. In the end, the problem of rotten teeth forced Kong to the human world to ask for help. After arriving there, Kong leaned on a hill, waiting for help. Fortunately, scientists managed to detect him. However, because they were afraid that Kong would suddenly fart and the smell of the island of humans gave a high dose of anesthetic, making Kong faint in the body. Kalengap. So, Eliquirabori Kalengap. A specialist in anomalous creatures was called. Without wasting time, the doctor tightly tied Kong's rotten teeth with steel wire. Kong exhaled the smell of his Jigong Banki first before finally the preparations were complete. The spaceship immediately shot upwards, knocking Kong's rotten teeth. When Kong regained consciousness, he realized his rotten teeth had been replaced with stronger titanium ones. With these new teeth, Kong felt stronger than ever. But suddenly, a shocking thing happened, because scientists received an emergency signal from Kong's world. To find out, a rescue team was quickly formed. They entered the portal with Kong. Pizza. The portal began to pull the ship, causing the passengers to experience a terrible jolt until the plane entered a mysterious world. When Kong arrived home, he found his food had been stolen. An annoyed Kong took his axe and immediately climbed to the top of the cliff. Looking from inside the crack, a blue light emitted that caught his attention. What was there? Kong and I didn't know, so to find out, Kong jumped inside. Yad. When Kong reached a dark cave, his axe began to glow, blending with the strange sparkling rocks around it. Suddenly, a terrifying roar was heard. Kong followed the sound past the waterfall, leading to a new hidden place he had never seen before. When the world began to appear, suddenly a large shadow appeared in front of Kong, making him prepare to fight using his axe. However, the shadow slowly shrank as it approached, until it was revealed that the figure was a small, innocent, and naive monkey. For the first time, Kong met a creature as lonely as him. He immediately bent down, put down his weapon, and extended his hand as a sign of friendship to the little monkey. However, the little monkey bit Kong's finger. The little monkey ran away from Kong, who was chasing him. But suddenly, another shadow appeared behind Kong, starting to show its form, which was a bald gorilla. Kong was shocked because he had never seen a gorilla his size bald again. When Kong approached him, two gorillas appeared from behind and slammed Kong hard to the ground. Seeing the bald gorillas laughing, Kong knew they were asking for a fight. Kong took a rock and smashed it at the gorillas. The bald gorillas tried to attack Kong, but he was able to avoid it until he managed to knock them all to the ground with his ingenuity. When Kong intended to take his axe, a small monkey appeared and attacked his handsome face. However, he managed to catch the small monkey, using it as a weapon to kill the gorillas who were still attacking Kong. Even though the gorillas played in a group, Kong was able to defeat them. Even a gorilla was made to fall into the abyss. However, Kong, with agile movements, immediately grabbed the gorilla's hand, pulled back up. Instead of saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa," meaning, "Thank you, Kong," the gorilla picked up a knife from the ground, instead attacked Kong. Of course, seeing that, Kong was furious and threw a punch at the gorilla until it was thrown back into the abyss. The frightened bald gorilla chose to run away. Kong picked up a stone on the ground, threw it at the bald gorilla until it hit his head, making the bald gorilla run away in great annoyance. Kong caught a small monkey hiding among the trees and threw it to the ground. After that, Kong picked up the gorilla's knife, threatening to kill the little monkey if he didn't show him the way to the gorilla's hideout. The little monkey was forced to obey Kong's wishes. He walked in front as Kong's guide, who followed him from behind. As they traveled, dangerous creatures began to appear, until suddenly a giant dragon appeared before Kong. But in a matter of minutes, the dragon was killed by Kong. Served as food for Kong to fill his stomach while relaxing like a twilight light. Seeing this, the hungry little monkey tried to approach, but he was too afraid. Kong, who knew this, cut the meat and held it out to the little monkey. However, the little monkey did not believe him, so Kong threw the meat to the ground. Because he was hungry, the little monkey immediately ate the meat. Thus, the little monkey's perspective began to change, thinking that Kong was not as evil as he thought, unlike the corruptors in a country with 19 million jobs. Finally, the little monkey began to dare to approach Kong and sit beside him, spending time together in the tranquility of the twilight. They continued their journey until they arrived at the place Kong wanted. As they entered deeper, Kong found creatures that looked like him. However, Kong's heart ached when he saw them living in very concerning conditions, forced labor without BPJS or overtime pay. A gorilla dropped a rock, causing him to be kicked very hard by the gorilla guard. Seeing this, Kong's anger could not be contained. He hit the ground with his axe and helped the gorilla up. making the guard very angry, telling him not to interfere. I got to interfere. But Kong responded with a raw punch to the head, causing the guard to collapse. The bald gorilla witnessed all this. He immediately went to Kenkarkarkin to him. Hearing all this, Skarking was furious. The gorilla rose from his throne, making all the gorillas bow down in worship, but not for Kong, who remained standing straight without fear. Skarking looked at him carefully before inserting his finger into Kong's mouth. Then he started laughing at the titanium teeth installed in Kong's mouth before finally venting his anger by kicking the gorilla behind him until he was thrown into the lava. Seeing this, Kong was very angry. Skarking immediately took out his weapon to teach Kong a lesson, who also took his axe. Finally, the battle began. Skarking shot a crystal-embedded weapon in front of him, making Kong stunned for a moment to avoid it. Then Kong counterattacked and was able to knock Skarking down. It seemed that in terms of strength they were equal. Skarking kicked Kong to keep his distance. His axe was also forced out of Kong's hand. Skarking quickly grabbed his neck, but Skarking didn't realize he had the wrong opponent, because Kong used his strength to slam Skarking to the ground. Feeling that he, as a gorilla, could not win against Kong. Finally, Skarking showed his true strength. As soon as the crystals on their weapons began to glow, the gorillas pushed a large rock toward the lava path, blocking the cave where a terrifying creature was hiding. The hot ground there suddenly froze. Then out came a giant creature called Titan Shimo, who once covered the world in ice, but now Skarking managed to control it, ordering Titan Shimo to attack Kong. It seemed that Titan Shimo was not happy about being controlled, but Skarking finally increased the pressure, making Titan Shimo writhe in pain. Finally, he was forced to start attacking Kong. Relying on his agility, Kong managed to survive. He then took his axe and tried to block Titanimo's ice attack, but all his efforts were in vain before the furious power of Titanimo's ice. Kong's axe turned into shaved ice. Likewise, his hand was so badly injured that he ubiboken doroken. Seeing this opportunity, Skarking ordered Titan Shimo to finish Kong. But when Titan Shimo was about to make another attack from behind, Kong, a small monkey, pointed towards the tunnel, ordering him to run immediately. Titan Shimo started attacking again, but Kong immediately entered the tunnel. The gorillas were still chasing Kong, but Kong had lived for thousands of years in this world. Many traps have been set in the forest, causing the gorillas to fall into them. However, some of the gorillas survived, until Kong was surrounded on the edge of a cliff. That's where Kong's final trap was set. But this time the gorillas became more alert, and they found a vine to activate the trap. When Kong saw it, he realized his plan had failed. Thinking, wow, I'm doomed. But suddenly the trap above was activated. Hundreds of tons of rocks rolled down, burying the gorillas. It turned out that the creature that activated the trap was a small monkey. However, Kong's condition was getting weaker. He asked the small monkey for help to guide him back to the humans, not realizing that one gorilla was still alive. Meanwhile, the scientists who came with Kong saw their base completely destroyed. Then their eyes fell on a large rock that had a giant signature on it. They suspected that there were other giants like Kong in this world. Soon they arrived in the depths of the forest, where they found a hidden device. As soon as they get there, he had to breast it. Water suddenly emerged di tema simulu brata. They followed the strong current that entered the forest till they reached a mysterious and magical wall. When the wall was touched, it suddenly turned blue. Seeing this, the scientist made a hole in the wall. A shocking sight appeared before him. Making the scientist's eyes wide open, but not to the point of Kelai. Because behind the wall, there was a world so beautiful, full of mystery. They had never seen it before. Even Doraemon has a door to anywhere. Right after the scientists entered it, they were suddenly surrounded by the world's tribal people, dressed carelessly covering their ata anunya. They immediately took the scientists to their clinic, but because they knew the scientists were harmless. After arriving there, the scientists realized these people had lived underground for thousands of years to protect the portal that connected directly to the upper world. Because Skarking was looking for the portal, using it as a way to rule the human world. Meanwhile, Kong by inhaling human scent searched for the whereabouts of the scientists. But because of the invisible wall, the world was not visible from the outside. Therefore, the tribe made a gap in the magic wall so that Kong could enter. Can easily find the scientists. When Kong approached them, he began to become weak and immediately fell to the ground. Seeing Kong's arm badly injured, the doctor immediately decided that Kong's arm had to be modified. Not with colorful rims or PE racing carburetors, but with a super arm designed to make Kong stronger. Fortunately, this super mechanical arm was built under the destroyed base in an underground vault. Shortly after, the doctor brought it there and placed it on Kong's body. Then the machine began working automatically to treat all the wounds on Kong's arm. After a special medicine entered Kong's body, he finally regained consciousness, feeling like he was reborn. Because Kong now used a new weapon that made him stronger. Happiness was clearly visible on Kong's face, but suddenly a small monkey ran up to him, informing him that Skarking already knew this world, where the portal he was looking for was located. Skarking would attack the tribe with the Titan Saimo he controlled. Kong realized he would not be able to win against them altogether, so there was only one way left. Go to the human world to ask Godzilla for help. Wake him up. But the problem was that Godzilla was Kong's greatest enemy, so it would not be easy to persuade him to cooperate. Kong exited the portal to the human world in the pyramid area. As soon as his voice was heard, Godzilla immediately woke up from his sleep. Without wasting any time, the lizard-like creature immediately moved towards Kong. Godzilla immediately attacked him at full speed. Seeing that, Kong raised his hand trying to persuade Godzilla ceasing Eula Heshes, but instead ignored. So Kong was hit by Godzilla until he was thrown back against the pyramid of the pharaoh's legacy. Kong counterattacked by throwing sand into Godzilla's eyes, making Godzilla angry and turned around to grab Kong's hand, gripping it hard before slamming him to the ground, making Kong almost dizzy. When Godzilla intended to step on him, Kong immediately dodged, launching a raw punch to Godzilla's face. Even though Godzilla was in his best condition, Kong had a super strong mechanical arm that hit Godzilla's head until he was dizzy from the impact. Then, Kong grabbed Godzilla's tail, pulling him to force Godzilla into the portal. The residents prepared an attack against Skarking. Magical red liquid was mixed with water. A magical transformation occurred that dissolved with water, making the system active. What happened was two pyramids combined into one collided with each other, making gravity disappear temporarily. When Skarking arrived and saw the anti-gravity activated, he immediately ordered Titan Shimo to build shaved ice between the pyramids to prevent it. Suddenly, from the portal, a bright light flew and fell to the ground. It turned out to be Godzilla and Kong, who had already broken through the rubble, running attack. King realized why Kong had brought Godzilla here, namely to fight. So without wasting time, Skarking went with Simo to fight them. But when the giant creatures were about to embrace, the ice broke until the pyramid collided, creating a wave that destroyed the gravity in that place. As a result, the giant creatures began to float in the air. But the world of Idan Ealing's turmoil was like this. Godzilla continued to attack Titanimo with straight movements. Meanwhile, Skarking took Kong's axe and used it to attack G. But every axe blow was able to be deflected using Kong's mechanical arm. In several clashes, the situation began to change. Kong was able to push Skarking, but Kong was attacked by a gorilla from behind. But a small monkey threw rocks to help Kong. Taking advantage of the stone foothold, Simo attacked Godzilla until he was covered in ice. But Godzilla used his energy to break the ice. Together with the deactivated anti-gravity system, Skarking escaped from Kong's grip, jumping into the portal with Simo. Kong and Godzilla chased after him, but before entering, the axe got stuck on the other side of the portal left behind and aligned. In the preceding coastal area, decorated with changkat bikinis milling about, suddenly the ocean waves rose into ice-resembling mountains, indicating that Simo and Skarking had arrived in the human world. Skarking saw the light in the sky, then saw the humans below. Skarking roared loudly, channeling his Jigong sent to humans. Then Skarking ordered Titan Simo to freeze the sky. Initially, Simo did not want to do it, but because he was forced to, he began to blow everywhere. The spray made the sky pitch black, destroying buildings in a short time. Skarking thought no one could stop him, but suddenly Kong gave Skarking a very strong blow until his three eyelids, like teeth, fell to the street, making Kong smile mockingly. Annoyed at this, Skarking ordered Simo to attack Kong Audi. But at the same time, Godzilla appeared to attack Titan Simo. Skarking used his weapon to lift the building and attack Kong, but the building was destroyed by a blow from a mechanical arm. Suddenly, Titan Simo appeared and bit Mechanic Kong's hand, forcing him to retreat. Godzilla muttered, "Wanjir Nyembling." He was furious because he felt ignored. He immediately unleashed his full power until Godzilla's body emitted a purple light, attacking Skarking with great force. However, Skarking was able to avoid it and then began to counterattack, launching his weapon. But Godzilla grabbed the weapon, splitting it into one move, leaving the crystal lying on the ground. Now, the victory of the battle depended on who held the crystal. Mato. At a crucial moment, the little monkey saw Kong's axe. He immediately jumped up and took it, plunging into the portal to reach the human world. So, after he found the crystal lying on the ground without hesitation, he hit the until it shattered into pieces, completely freeing Titan Simo. An angry Skarking strangled the little monkey to kill him. But Kong came to attack Skarking, throwing his punch and then lifting Skarking up. Now, without the crystal, Skarking was just an ordinary monkey. Simo watched this and turned his head towards Godzilla as if asking for his blessing to do what he wanted to do, which was to turn Skarking into an ice statue. After Kong confirmed that Skarking was dead, he slammed him with all his might until he crushed Skarking's body on the spot. Finally, the war was over. However, there was only one job left to be done. Godzilla looked up at the sky, releasing a huge amount of energy until the thick clouds cleared and the sun shone again. Then Godzilla returned to his territory to continue sleeping. He snored. Meanwhile, Kong entered the underworld to his new home with Titan Simo and a small monkey. Where there, King Kong and his fellow creatures intended to build a new world, a kingdom of companies. Indeed, monkeys. And see you in the next video.